I feel like I'm gonna finish this entire book in one sitting. I could totally read that in a day. Whoa, maybe I have to pick longer books for this challenge. Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to another video. I currently don't have a job, so we're gonna do something a little unhinged this week, and we're gonna try reading a book a day for the next 7 days, for the entire week. Is that a little bit of an ambitious and yeah, slightly unhinged idea for a video? Yes, but we're gonna do it because I have the time right now. It is Thursday, by the way, today. I know, kind of a weird day to start a reading vlog. Why do I always start reading vlogs like halfway through the week? The first book we're gonna read is The Storied Life of AJ Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. This has been on my TBR for a little while now, and I've been wanting to dive into it. I honestly don't know much about this book other than it is a literary fiction. It is by Gabrielle Zevin, who is the author of Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, which I did read, and Haley Pham loves this book. That is basically all I know about it, but sometimes it's fun going into books a little bit blind. I thought this would be a good one to start off this challenge because first of all, it's not that long. Let me try and check the page count without spoiling myself. This is always very scary to do. 258 pages, so like I could totally read that in a day, especially if I don't have a job. And it's also set in like real world. I feel like real world books, like you can just read them quicker versus a fantasy or sci-fi where you have to like start out a little bit slower when you get into it because you have to like digest the world building in your head and like make sense of everything. Real world books are always quicker to read. So yeah, a book a day. This is the first book and this is the first day.
Say something that will make my day, 'cause these memories of her won't go away. They're haunting me so I can't sleep. She was a pretty little liar who cut me deep, 'cause she left me here alone. Now my bed feels just like cobblestone. Oh.
I'm on page 91. I am loving this book already. I feel so emotionally invested, and the fact that I'm like this attached to the story and so invested after only 90 pages is very, very impressive. I'm very, very impressed. There are 160-ish pages to go, so let's just keep reading. I feel like I'm gonna finish this entire book in one sitting.
I met her back in 2005. It was her crooked little smile that caught my eye. Time went by and it was her and
I like how I literally grabbed a bookmark when I started this book, and then I did not even have to use it one time. I did not get up off of that couch. I just read this entire book in one sitting, literally. Needless to say, really enjoyed it. I, right now, I'm giving it a 4.5 star. So yeah, obviously loved it. So now that I know what this book is about, we follow AJ Fikry, obviously from the title, who is like this grumpy bookstore owner. He owns a bookstore and he lives like in an apartment above it. He starts off the book as an alcoholic. He is grieving because he lost his wife. No one likes him. One day, a little bundle of a child shows up at his bookstore, and that child, that baby, changes his life forever. It's just this beautiful interwoven story of loss, grief, love, healing, found family. There's a little bit of romance in there. It's not a romance book, but there is a romance subplot a little bit. And there's even like a little bit of like a mystery crime kind of a thing going on in here. Again, not like a main part of the plot, but like kind of intertwined. It just has everything you would want in a book. And also really funny, I think I took a clip of it, but while I was reading this, there was a line where AJ Fikry is like describing his book tastes to someone. He's like, I hate books that are like movie tie-ins, like that have movie tie-in covers. This is literally a movie tie-in cover because this book has apparently been made into a movie. You can see literally the now a major motion picture little sticker thing on it. Like, So funny. But yeah, this was so good. I also find a lot of the time with literary fiction, you guys know this about me, I find it really hard to like connect emotionally with literary fiction because I feel like most of the time the writing style is in such a way you're like kind of looking at what's happening from a very far vantage point, like a bird's eye point of view. It's like watching the story unfold in a very detached way. Gabrielle Zevin manages to like get your emotions going while also being literary fiction, and I really love that about her writing. It's also only 4:51 right now. I finished reading this book like 20 minutes ago. So I read this book in, what was that? I started at 1:30. So I read this book in 3 hours. It is the evening, so I'm gonna like try and relax and maybe not read so much for the rest of the day, but I feel like I could start tomorrow's book. Right? Like I'm reading a book a day, but is it cheating if I like finish a book early and then get a head start on the next one? I don't feel like that's cheating. It's like 7 books a week, a book a day. And I made this challenge up myself. So there's no rules. I make up the rules. Let's pick what to read next. I really don't want to like overwork myself by choosing like a 600-page fantasy and trying to read that in a day because that would just burn me out for the rest of the challenge. Maybe Half a Soul. No, you know what? I don't feel like reading fantasy right now. Shocking, I know. I've kind of been wanting to get into a Katherine center. Should I do the Rom-Commers or Hello Stranger? Okay, so the Rom-Commers is about like screenwriters. This one is about a girl who has face blindness. Whoa. So she doesn't recognize faces. I feel like that sounds really interesting. Okay, this is gonna be our next book. I'm gonna start it maybe after dinner sometime this evening or like just like a little bit of bedtime reading. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Okay, so my head start on this book was 110 pages. Maybe I have to pick longer books for this challenge. Just whizzing through these. But that means I have about 220 pages to read today. I'm enjoying many aspects of this book so far. As I mentioned yesterday, this is about Sadie, who is a portrait artist. She literally paints portraits for a living. And one day there's an accident, she has to get surgery, and then after her surgery, she cannot see faces anymore. She has face blindness. There's a scientific name that is mentioned, but I cannot remember it. She doesn't know what to do because her career literally relies on her to recognize and paint faces, and she literally cannot do it anymore. Reading this, I'm so baffled at the entire concept of face blindness. She doesn't make this book too scientific to the point where like it's a textbook, but I feel like she does give like a little tiny bit of scientific background. It's just like, it's mind-boggling. There is obviously a romance aspect that's also developing. I will say like that's probably currently so far the weakest point in the book. The romance part is just written so like high school crush. Our main character is 28 years old, so I would expect her to act similar to myself, I guess, but the way she is like describing her like crush and the way she's acting, she also seems to be the type of person who literally like she goes out in like a robe and like fuzzy pink slippers, and I'm like, girl, like put some clothes on before you go outside. Like she'll literally like walk outside in like a fuzzy robe and slippers, go downstairs and like have a coffee with someone in public wearing like pajamas. I don't know, just something about like the way she's written, like that side of her, and the way she views her love interest is like very it feels very young. But yeah, those are my thoughts so far. I'm gonna continue to read this today. Hopefully I do finish this book today because that's the challenge. We'll just continue to see what happens.
I was never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in long conversations. Oh, 'cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you keep on waiting. But
it's a couple days later. It is Monday. On Friday, I did finish Hello Stranger. What did I rate this? I ended up giving this a 4-star. So I know I was kind of mixed with like the opening of this book when I updated you guys last. It really came together in the end. It was a very like emotional story. There was like a twist I'm trying to quotation mark with this hand. There was a twist in this book that was very, very, very extremely predictable, but it was fun. It was easy to read. The FMC was slightly annoying, yes. But yeah, the story really came together very nicely. We dove into deeper themes of like, there's a lot of family trauma and stuff like that in the story. This was a win for me. So go Katherine Center. On Saturday, I read A Talent for Murder by Peter Swanson. Obviously a very different book. This is more of a mystery, crime, thriller type of a book. I gave this a 2-star, and I'm gonna give you like my overall like more thoughts on it in my wrap-up video at the end of the month. But overall, I just found it to be not exciting, like not thrilling. It was very predictable, which I feel like is fine for a romance, but not fine for a thriller. There were also just very strange POV choices, and the way the story was told, and the order the story was told was very strange to me. But A Talent for Murder, not a big hit for me, but that was Saturday. My Sunday book was 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott. Such an emotional story. I watched the movie a couple years ago, like when it came out, and then I only read the book now. I was really curious to see like how it would be different from the movie. It's pretty much the same thing. It's very like, the movie for sure followed the book like almost to a T, but I thought this was worth reading as well. Definitely reads extremely YA because it is written for YA, and it is obviously, it's like about teenagers. So it reads very YA. I don't know how I would feel about this book if I hadn't watched the movie first, but I feel like because I watched the movie first, I already love the story. It's so like heart-wrenching and emotional. It helped me get into the book. But yeah, the book is written very YA, and the characters are very YA, like YA romance characters. It's so emotional. So 5 Feet Apart, that was my book yesterday. And then today, Monday, I'm actually gonna read another Katherine Center. This one is the Rom-Commers. It's her more recent release. Her main character, Emma, is like kind of an amateur, not an amateur, but she's like not a very experienced screenwriter, but she's obviously very talented. She gets hired to like ghostwrite to fix a script from like her idol screenwriter, a really, really famous guy who she's just like idolized, had like a celebrity crush on for the longest time. So she goes to LA to meet him and help him fix his script, because he usually writes, like he's best known for his like westerns, horror films, like kind of more serious movies, and he's written his first rom-com, which apparently really sucks. So she's going to help him out. He's obviously very grumpy and mad about the whole thing, and we'll see where the story goes. That's my update. We're still going strong. We're succeeding in the book a day challenge. That's it for now.
May you always find your way to higher ground. May you always keep your head held up high. Pretty little thing, you're a diamond in the rough, shining from within. I can tell that you're tough. Just the sight of you when I'm at my weakest point makes a world of difference. Oh, you make me strong. Pretty little thing.
Guys, why was this challenge like kind of easy? I do have all the time in the world right now, but I thought I would struggle through this week so much more than I did. I thought this would be like a really chaotic, funny video where I was just like stressing out all the time, but I don't know, it just went by so smoothly. As you guys saw, I did finish the Rom-Commers. This was my Monday book. Really enjoyed it. I think overall I like this one better than Hello Stranger. I thought the concept of Hello Stranger sounded like more interesting, but the execution of this was like way better. Like, first of all, the main character was not annoying in this one, so thank goodness for that. That was a much better start. I feel like the writing overall was better. I do think the ending of Hello Stranger came together better, but the ending in this one let me down a little bit. Very similar though. The ending was very predictable, like the sort of twist at the end. Very predictable. Maybe that's just like a Katherine Center thing. She doesn't know how to keep a secret. Yesterday, I read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, which is basically like a Bridgerton with a little bit of a magic twist. Like a fae fairy Bridgerton. It's set in Regency, England. We have the whole Bridgerton vibe with our main character like coming out to society and like trying to find a husband and going to all these like balls and parties and stuff. It's very Bridgerton in that way, but there's obviously like there's Fae. Our main character has a curse put on her kind of like by a fairy where she only has half her soul, like half of her soul has been taken. I wouldn't say this is like a high stakes fantasy at all. It's definitely more cozy, it's low stakes, and usually I don't enjoy like low stakes cozy fantasies as much as the high stakes ones, like you guys know me, but I actually really enjoyed this. I think the banter between our main characters was like done so well. It was so clever, it was like funny, I was giggling, so this one really worked for me. And I think the only other like similar vibe book I've read to this is the Emily Wilde series, the Encyclopedia of Fairies, and I like this better in terms of like that genre. So very whimsical, very cozy. And then my book for today, I've already finished it. I decided to change the pace a little bit. So instead of reading like a novel, I decided to try out this graphic novel that Bloomsbury sent me. I don't know if this is cheating because it's not like a full words book, you know? It's very graphic novel, it's images, it's like little speech bubbles for dialogue. So I don't know if that's cheating or not, but again, I'm making my own rules to my own challenge. And this is indeed a book. I'm gonna be honest, a little disappointed in this. I guess it's kind of hard for me to like rate graphic novels because I haven't read a lot of them, so I don't know like what I'm really rating based off of, but in terms of like how I personally feel about it, I thought the artwork in this was done really well, but the story was just like not there. So this follows two cousins, Jalissa and Kim. There's like this incident at the beach where they, you know, all of a sudden get superpowers. You know, it happens in most comic type books. And then all these big baddies start showing up and they start like fighting all these big baddies. But I don't know, the story was just very chaotic. It didn't have a structure. It was very back and forth and disjointed. Scenes wouldn't even finish in my mind. Like, I don't know if this is a thing in graphic novels, because again, I haven't read very many. I just found it very hard to follow because we'd be like in one scene and then like the scene wouldn't even finish. And it would seem like we were kind of leading to somewhere else, and then that would never happen. We'd just cut to a completely different time, location, day. Like, it just, everything felt jumbled. So the story, not so much, but the illustrations are great. And that was my 7th book. There we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. A book a day for 7 days is complete. I think my favorites from this week, my like most obvious favorite was The Storied Life of AJ Fikry. Amazing, highly recommend for everyone. And then I would say the Rom-Commers and Half a Soul were maybe my like 2nd favorite. Those were my top 3 for this week. That was an interesting experience. I don't think I've ever read 7 books in a week before. I'm glad I did it. But I'm also glad now that like I don't have the pressure to read an entire book a day, because I've been putting off the longer books, obviously, like the 500, 600 page books for this week, and I'm excited to get back into those now that I can take more than a day to read a book. I thought this video would be way more entertaining, to be honest. I thought like it would be chaotic, but it was just, I felt good reading a book a day. Also, if you look at my Goodreads goal right now, I'm literally at 99 out of 100 books for the year. So I'm almost done my reading goal, and it is like mid-August right now. That's insane. My next reading vlog I'm gonna do is gonna be like a 100th book special video, so make sure you are subscribed and watch out for that video because that's gonna be my next reading vlog. Yeah, that's it, I guess. If you liked this video, please leave me a like and a comment. If you don't know what to comment down below, let me know the most books you have read in a week, like what that number is and what those books were. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!